Hello and welcome to Watch Me Fly. In this video I'm going to walk through how, as a director, you set up your flights and your tasks during the competition. This is going to assume that you're using Balloon Live for your event. If you're not, you do the similar sort of things, but there's a few bits of information that you won't have available to you or won't be required to set up. And I'll point those out as we go. All right, so I'm here on the dashboard of the event. So this is the Canowindra International Balloon Challenge. If you're not familiar with the competition center or any of the stuff you're seeing at the moment, please go and view the competition center introduction video that's available in the Learning Center. All right, so what we can do is firstly, we can see there are no flights set up so far because this is the first flight. What you're able to do is come in here and you can add a flight by clicking on the link here, or on any of the pages you'll have access to a add new flight link in the top menu. So we're going to come and add the flight. And when we come in here, there's a number of things in the form. So firstly, the top section of the form are the compulsory or the essential details that you must fill out. So these are the basics and the minimum that you need to do. Below that, there are a whole lot of other pieces of information that will be displayed in the task data sheet that you can add. None of these are compulsory, only the ones with the red stars are the ones that are essential. So I'll work my way down the list. So firstly, you have the option to do competition or practice flights. So if you choose practice, it will display as a practice flight, and the results, if you're using WatchMeFly scoring, will not appear in the totals. So it will show you the task results and but it won't show you the totals in your competition totals. But in this case, we're going to do a competition flight. The flight number, you must put a flight number in there. It will automatically work out what the next flight number is. But if you cancel a flight or something like that, you may need to change that. Flight date, pretty obvious. And you can say whether it's a morning or an afternoon flight. So we might say this is an afternoon flight. Now here you'll see we have the QNH. If you have your Balloon Live settings set up so that you're using barometric altitude, the QNH is required because this is being used by the Balloon Live app and also the Balloon Live sensor. So whatever you put in here is the QNH that will be passed to the app and the sensor, and that will be used to calculate the altitude. If your event is just using GPS altitude, the QNH field will be there, but it won't be a compulsory or required field. All right. Now, the other fields here, as I said, are optional, but we're going to fill them out. So flight name, most people don't ever put something in there, and it doesn't really display anywhere except in the Balloon Live app. But what we're going to do is firstly do the launch area. So in this case, we're going to do a fly in. So we're going to do a pilot's choice. We're going to say that the launch period is from we'll say it's from 15:30 to probably, let's make it 16:30. You can put in any text that you wish here. The distance, this is the individual launch points distance from the goal. So we're going to say that's 1,000 meters to the first goal. Solo flights not required. Sunrise, sunset, you can put those in. PZ's in force, normally it's all, and you can just type whatever you like in there. Search period, we're not doing search period. And next briefing, we can say that it's coming up tomorrow at 0500 anyway. Now you can add any notes you want. So this is where you want if you want to put any extra notes on the task data sheet that's related to the flight. So you might want to put information about, say, a new PZ20, which is horses, and provide some details about that. But you can put any information you like. You can also add any of the formatting and things you wish there. You can upload a weather file. So this is where you can add, say, a PDF or a JPEG or a PNG file of the weather. We'll just upload something random here, but you can pretty much upload any file that you wish. And then here is the scoring details. That this is used by the scoring system to determine whether people have taken off within or outside the launch period. The reason this is different from the one up here is this is what's displayed on the website and on the task data sheet. So if you're at a common launch area, you might say green flag plus 30 minutes. But what you want to be doing here is put the actual launch period, and this can be done after the flight. If you know that the green flag went up at, say, 15:25, and then it finished at 15:55, you can add those details, and then the scoring system will then calculate whether people have taken off within or outside the scoring period. But these numbers will not be displayed on the task data sheet. Only what's displayed up here will be. So we're going to say that that was 1530 to 1630. And in this case, we're just going to add those same numbers in there. Okay, so that's how you add a flight. Once you save that, you're then taken to the dashboard for that flight. And we can see the information that we've done here. So we have flight 1, we have Thursday PM, and we have all the information we just entered. That's all showing up here. What we can also see here is that we don't have any tasks yet, and we're going to walk through tasks in a minute. We can see that we have the ability to then print the task data sheet. In this case, we only have the flight information so far, and once we add some tasks, they will be displayed underneath that. And we also can see the list of pilots have already been allocated to this flight, but we have no information so far. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to come in and we are going to also look at a couple of other features around the flight. So once you've created a flight, you can see it's in draft mode. This means it's not available on the website, so nobody outside of the competition center can see this flight. And you can also edit and do things like delete it. You can pretty much change anything you want. Okay, so let's now add some tasks to this flight. So what we're going to come in here is we're going to do two tasks. We're going to do a fly in, as we mentioned before, and then we're also going to do a judge declared goal. So two fairly basic but very common tasks. So what you do is you click on here, the add task link, and you first choose the type of task you want to be doing. So as we mentioned, we're going to do firstly a fly in. And we're going to set that task up. So similar to the flight form, we got some information that we need to fill out, and anything that's compulsory or required is highlighted with a red star. So this is the basic task information that will again be displayed on the task data sheet. So it's task number 1. We're flying these in order. The scoring period is going to be until, what are we going to say, 1750, because that's sunset, and we're using the entire contest area. Again, you can type in whatever you like in here. In the case of the fly-in, we do have a target, so we're going to do a gravity marker drop. We're going to use a blue marker, but if they're outside the MMA, which we're going to set up shortly, what we can do is we can say we're going to use logger mark 1 as a logger mark. Then here we can come in and put in the position of the goal. So our event's set up to be using 4-4 coordinates. So we're going to say that this is at 5050 and 8588. And we're going to have the goal is a target, so it's going to be on the ground. So we're not going to set an altitude. Now, when it comes to the actual placement of the target, if the target team, based on the rules, move the target from these coordinates, for the scoring system, you can actually put in the actual target position after the flight has happened or during the flight. So if the target team say that they can't put the target exactly on this location, they can give you the coordinates of the target and you can enter those here as well. But in this case, we're just going to leave that blank and assume that they're putting it on exactly those points. Then here you can choose an MMA. So in this case, we're going to do a circular MMA, and we're going to say it's a radius of 75 meters. And we're not going to use this. If you've set up your target team list and you're going to be using the WatchMeFly target tools, you can then select which measuring team you want to be associated with this task. In this case, we're not going to do that. All right, below that, there's a few additional things. So for scoring, if you want to override the default scoring method, you're able to do that. That's covered again in the scoring certification course, so we won't talk about that in this particular video. You can then also provide extra task information. So in here, you might say that you want to provide the task data and task information. Now to do this, what we've done is we actually provide the rule here in the right-hand corner. So what some people want to do is they take that information and paste it in there and fill it out. But in this case, it's fairly self-explanatory. It's a pretty basic task. So you may want to add something like must take off north of the cargo road. Any other information you want for that task that you want to include, you're able to put that in there. You're able to upload images. So if you want for example, a diagram of the scoring area, say for Gordon Bennett, or in this case, if it's an irregular shaped MMA, you can upload any image you like, and that will be included on the task datasheet. And then the final thing here is for when you're having multiple tasks and you want the print version of the task datasheet to have a page break, so it doesn't chop off any of the information on a page break, you're able to do that. So that's something you just want to sort of play with once you're ready to print out your task datasheet. Okay, so we've added that task. So we can now see that we have a fly-in set, and that is now in draft mode. So we're going to quickly go and add another task. So in this case, we're going to do a judge declared goal. And we're going to set that up. And again, we just come through. It's automatically chosen task 2 in order. We're doing 1750. Entire scoring area. This case, we're going to do a free throw. It's going to be a yellow marker. And we're going to use logger marker number 2. And we're going to use different coordinates for that particular goal. All right, and we're not going to have an MMA. Actually, yes, we are. We're going to have a 50-meter MMA, and everything else remains the same. So there you go. We've got now a flight with 2 tasks in it. If we go and look at our print task data sheet now, we can see that it now has got all the information about the flight as well as the task data for each of those particular tasks. Okay, now once we're happy with our flight, we can see that we've got our 2 tasks and all the flight information is correct. What we want to now do is make this flight available and the task data sheet available to the public and to the pilots. So to do that, we want to change the flight status. And in here, when we go to change flight status, as we said before, the flight's currently in draft. You're able to change the flight to either a pending or live status. Pending means that it's available on the website, but no data will be captured by Balloon Live. Most directors don't actually use the pending status. Once they're finished and happy with the draft, they'll send the flight live. And we're going to do that now. So once it's live, all the data is now available on the public website, as well as when the pilots use their Balloon Live app, they'll be able to get the information about the flight when they first log into the app, as well as data will be able to be sent to the WatchMeFly servers for this flight. So basically, this is ready to go and ready to be flown. So if we now come back into the public website and go to task data, we can now see that this flight is live. The information is available on the website. If I click on task data sheet, all of that task data is visible, and the pilots can also access the print version of this particular task and this particular flight. So it's ready to go. So now the pilots can go off and fly it. As a director, you don't need to do anything else until the flight is finished. While it's flying, you'll receive track updates If they fill out their flight report forms, that will be all visible. So as you reload this page, you'll start seeing ticks and data appearing in the system itself. Once the flight is finished and you don't want any more, and all the pilots have landed and all the tracks have been captured, then you want to come in and change the flight status to complete. So once you do that, no more data will be captured, and it's pretty much flagged as a flight that is no longer being flown, and they won't be able to access that in the Balloon Live app. Should you need to cancel the flight, you can come in here and cancel. And when you do that, again, it's flagged as cancelled. If I come onto the public website here and we go into this page, it will show that the flight has been cancelled and nothing can be sent to that flight from a Balloon Live perspective either. Okay, now I want to show you a couple of other task types. So what we're going to do firstly is change the flight back to draft so we can actually add some more tasks to this flight. And when I come to add task, if I choose a different type of task, so for example a hare and hounds, what you'll see is that the form is slightly different. So the information at the top is still the same, so we're still going to do 1550 as the scoring period end, entire contest area. Again, same fields here. But then because this is a hare and hounds, we're able to add a description of the hare balloon as well as an MMA for the hare. Once the hare balloon is landed and you're ready to do the scoring, you're able to put in the actual coordinates of the target for where the hare landed so that the scoring system can measure to the actual points. So we might say after the flight it was at 5005, 8666. And same with the other forms, you can add any other information that you wish to appear on the task data sheet. So once you've added that, again, if we come and look at the task data sheet, we can see that the information about the hare balloon is appearing in the task data sheet. All right, what I'll show is one final type of task. The rest are fairly self-explanatory, but if we come in here and add a 3D shape task, what we're given is the option to add a donut or a wedding cake or other. Now this is really for the scoring system. So the information about what the donut or the wedding cake or a other 3D shape, you're going to have to add all that information as part of the task data notes. But for the scoring system, so that it can automatically calculate the results of a donut or a wedding cake, we give you the ability to set up some of the settings here. So for a donut, you might say that the radius A and the radius B might be 500 meters and 1,000 meters, and that the pilot's going to set it in logger goal 1, and it might be that you're doing that before takeoff. That's all set up, ready to go, so the scoring system will be able to look at the pilot's track, look at the pilot's logger goal, and determine what their path is and what their result is within the donut. For a wedding cake, which is a little bit more complex, you're able to put in all the variables. So you can put in the multiplying factors, so it might be for the different tiers, it might be something like 2, 1.5 and 1. You can put the circle radiuses in and the altitudes and pretty much build your wedding cake like the diagram in there. Again, you'll need to put all that information into the task data for it to appear on the task data sheet. This is again just for the scoring system so it can automatically calculate the track within the wedding cake. So there you go. That's pretty much how you set up flights and task data within WatchMeFly. Obviously, it takes a bit of practice. Feel free to practice within your event, and as long as you don't send those tasks and flights live, then you'll be able to get a good feel for how some of these work. If you want any information about how any of the other functions work around flight report forms, tracks, and scoring, there's plenty of other videos in the Learning Center, as well as the Certified Scorer course that you can do, and you'll learn about all of those things as well. So until next time, thank you for your time today.